Right, let's get started then. I can't tell you how excited I am. Well, I can. I'm telling you, I'm very, very excited. Why am I excited? Because I'm welcoming you all to a very special event. This is the launch of the Habitat Hong Kong housing series. And today's event is the first in a series of action-focused conversations about the state of housing in Hong Kong. And in each conversation, we will be dipping into the lived experiences, expertise, and insights from a speaker in Hong Kong, whilst also drawing on the diverse perspectives of a speaker from overseas. Now, for this event, I'm absolutely thrilled to kickstart the series with two phenomenal speakers, Dr. Calvin Look and Judy Heumann. Today, we're talking about universal design. What is it? Why is it important? And what can we do to address systemic inequities and strengthen inclusion through barrier-free environments? Now, today we are running a hybrid event. So whilst the first conversation is pre-recorded, we do welcome you to stick around for the live Q&A session with Calvin. Hi, Calvin. Good to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So much for joining.
Thank you, Chip.
Now, our time is short and precious, and I'm not going to spend it giving you lengthy bios. You can go to our social media pages for that. But what I will say is Dr. Calvin Look, our Hong Kong-based sector expert, is deeply knowledgeable about accessible housing and universal design, as you will very soon find out. For many of you, Judy Heumann needs no introduction. She is a groundbreaking international disability rights advocate, and according to the New York Times, Judy is a galvanizing force for disability rights, and she has been a long-time advisor to many, many US presidents on the topic. So go and watch Judy on Netflix in the award-winning documentary, Crip Camp, A Disability Revolution. Read her latest book, Being Human. Go and watch her TED Talk, listen to her podcast. But before all of that, please stay and enjoy the conversation that Calvin and I had with her a few days ago, and meet us back here afterwards for the Q&A. Judy and Calvin, it is an absolute pleasure to have you both with us today for this really, really special event. It's our launch event, and I'm so excited to be hosting this fireside chat with you both.
Jill, can I ask a question of Calvin?
Yeah, please.
Calvin, before you started working in this area of universal design, what were you doing in the area of housing, if anything? And what did you think as a non-disabled person about the issue we're going to be discussing? And how has your disability changed your views?
Right, that's a very good opportunity for me to tell you a bit more about where I come from. Before I pick up this topic, I was a project manager slash architect doing all the most luxurious golf course resorts and spa resorts. They all beachfront, 6 stars, whatever you like to call it, the Marriott, the Meridian, all of those. And one very ionic event happened. I have a very mild injury, and then that gave me the experience of living 20 months with disability. And at that time, I have actually exhausted all my knowledge about how to recover. And then during that time, I have to live and I have to survive, like everyone else, with all the physical barriers and also all the mental barrier that anyone has to come through. So I myself not only have to empathize, I actually live and experience that. So they gave me a very different insight. And you might be surprised at why I am a doctor now. And because of that, I went back to medical schools for 12 years. I started right from the bottom, from undergraduate to postgraduate, and finally the PhD, and that's why I am now. And after that, I worked 50% exactly as an SS consultant / architect to advise people on the accessible design. I work for hospital groups, work for government authorities, I work for university now. And at the same time, my 50% is dedicated to working with people that actually needs help with disability, whether it's a therapy for them to recover from stroke or any injury that might give them some kind of difficult illnesses to cope with all of the very crazy disease like ALS. I don't know whether you know ALS, which is very crazy disease, and MS, multiple sclerosis. Those things give me firsthand experience of not just working with patients, but knowing their life experiences in dealing or in maneuvering in the real world, again, physically and mentally, and with the communication gap between. So that gives me a perspective that's probably more, how do they say, not more dedicated, but more to my heart when I deal with accessibility issues. So I understand both sides of the thing. I'm a researcher now. I advise policymakers, and I also try to bridge between people with disability, the needs of people with disabilities, and policymakers. There's a big difference in the dialogue. That's why I really, really appreciate this opportunity, being able to talk to you, Judy, on this fireside chat, side by side. It's a real honor, and definitely your journey will really show us how this can be done from the very human-centric level to change legislation. That is really my greatest concern of the whole thing.
I just want to underscore, and we'll talk about it later, but to me, it's important, Calvin, to recognize that no one person ever makes the change. And that's why I think this discussion is important. And I think, being with Habitat is a perfect example that a person can raise an issue, but the changes come about by working collaboratively. And I think that's very true in the area of disability and housing or any other issue.
Absolutely. That's why I think later in the conversation, I will bring up the subjects of cultural difference. So it's very different to where you are in the States and very different to where I am in Asia. Asians people are definitely culturally different. They have different kind of way of expressing themselves. They have different outlook to equity and rights.
Well, I think you've both brought up some really great points already about the fact that we have a perspective from Hong Kong and Asia, and we have a perspective from the States. But I know that both of you have extensive experience across the globe. And so this is why this series is so important for us at Habitat, is to bring together different perspectives so that we can learn and we can share experiences to apply them to the context in Hong Kong. Can I just come back to Judy's story and the book that you have written, your latest book, Being Human, and which I have finished reading and really, really recommend that all of our viewers go and read that. You're talking about when you were playing as a child with your friends and how that really taught you at a very young age that things are possible when you assume that problems can be solved. And you have solved many, many problems over the years. So is there one problem that you can share with us that you are particularly proud of?
Yes, I will answer that question. Let's step back to the beginning of your comment, and that was as a child. So I think what we need to just view, and I don't care what culture it's in, I grew up in a neighborhood which was, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. So there are 4 million people in Brooklyn, New York. But the block that I lived on, there were small middle class families. And so, mothers and fathers were younger. They had children. We were all about, similar age. And what was normal was for kids to go out and play. And there wasn't like supervision. It's kids went out to play, and we managed and were creative ourselves. There was no one who came in and said, Judy can't jump rope, but what could Judy do? It was something that as kids we did. And the film Crip Camp that you also mentioned, you see in Crip Camp, a couple of things. One, in the United States, many people go to summer camps and they sleep overnight in these camps. And the purpose of going is to have fun, be away from your family, be in a different environment. But what was going on for many of us as disabled teenagers is we were beginning to have certain discussions, like one, why were only disabled kids at the camp? And that's because the camps for non-disabled children weren't accessible. And then in addition to, normal camp activities, we would have time just to think and talk. And so that's when we began to have discussions like, so what are you going to do when you finish high school? Are you going to go to college? What do you want to study? I don't really know because I don't see other people like myself. So I'm not just talking about myself, but other disabled people. I think the absence of seeing disabled people with different types of with different types of disabilities in different careers makes it more difficult for someone to think, can I do something when I don't see myself? And so I think that was part of what we were beginning to do, was recognizing that our absence didn't mean that we had to be excluded. And so I think one of the important aspects of what has been going on, not just in the US, but around the world, is an emerging discussion all over Asia, Africa, Latin America, North and South America, about the fact that what has occurred has been based on bias and prejudice, that we've been excluded from opportunities that non-disabled people take for granted. And so for me, one of the things I feel most proud about is being able to help expand our movement in the United States and around the world to elevate the voices of disabled people, young people, adults, parents, but also for non-disabled people to recognize that they need to be concerned about what it is we're saying. And when we look at the issue of universal design in housing, there really isn't, it's one of the major issues that I think we can be getting people who don't see themselves as having a disability interested in. Because as our countries are becoming older and where we are living in many cases may be becoming more difficult because of lack of accessibility and other supports.
And we're going to delve a little bit more into that, that whole concept of why universal design is so relevant to so many people. We're going to delve into that a little bit more later on. I would just like to, before I'm going to pass over to you, Calvin, just to give us some definitions and explain some of the terms around universal design for us. I just have one more question for you both. Could you complete this sentence? Inclusive housing is ... Judy, how would you finish that sentence?
Inclusive housing enables me to be a part of a community where I can contribute to that community and others can contribute to me, where we can be living in a community of natural supports and improving the environments that we're living in. Amazing.
Calvin, what about you?
Not much to add after Judy, actually. She's done a very good definition. But I might just add a little point here. Inclusive housing, of course, by nature, it's all embracing for all abilities, diversity, gender, age, and all that. One thing that I want to add, which I think could be of value to whoever that's interested in the subject, is a lot of time we try to equate inclusive housing with universal design. And that's indeed a technical difficulties in that. So here I want to draw a very good reference for everyone to look at how we look at inclusive housing. By definition, academically, inclusive housing doesn't have a fixed definitions. People working on it call it differently, design for all and all kinds of things, but it doesn't equate to universal design. Why? Because the reference that I want to introduce to everyone is in UK, they trying to make inclusive housing to be more acceptable to everyone without labeling. Exactly like Judy said, segregation is the number one thing that I really, really work against. That's my number one target. That's why in UK, which is a very good reference, since 2000 and exactly, I can't remember, around 2020, every new house in London has to comply with document M over there. They call it document M there, M4 category 1, which they call a visitable housing. I don't know whether the audience are familiar with this term. Visitable, whereas if you Google it, it's not a proper English, but everyone uses it now. Visitable means that anyone can come to visit your house, and you can also go out at your free will without hindrance, without barrier. Yeah. That's the basic one they will try to introduce. The second level is called adaptable house. Now that getting quite close to universal design, which means you don't need that house to be fully wheelchair accessible at the moment, but it can be converted easily. And then the third one, which is the highest and the most demanding planning or design requirement, is the wheelchair accessibility.
Calvin, I love how you start that sentence with I haven't got much to add, but that was amazing. Thank you so much for that. I do have two other though terms that I know that in our conversation have come up, and I'm not even sure that I'm pronouncing it right. So correct me if I'm wrong, but salutogenic design, is that right? And barrier-free design. So how are they different to universal design or the terms that you've been sharing with us already?
Okay, let's start with barrier-free design, which is for some reason in this part of the world, in Asia, it's more used than the popular term accessible design. So strictly speaking, as access consultants, accessible design is the proper term that we use in policy making and all that. But most people refer to barrier-free. Now, barrier-free is not the best term because barrier-free by itself, the name itself is a stigma. So, but barrier-free design basically is more or less like a minimum standard, like Judy, where you have the American Disability Act. That's a minimum standard that someone complies. So in Hong Kong, we do that. It really came from the 1960s by Selwyn Goldsmith, the very famous book, Design for the Disabled. So that's from Selwyn in the 1960s. So at that time, people start realizing that the design has to be adapted to people with different ability or disability. So basically, barrier-free design developed to universal design after 20 years since Selwyn Goldsmith and then Ronald May's work on it more and then become universal design to a much more, exactly how Judy described it, to a more embracing and more inclusive way of looking at the design that's suitable for most of the people without special adaptation. That's the most important thing, without special adaptation. Yeah. So all these ideas, you can see salutogenic design, universal design, and later, for some opportunities, I might explain for the evidence-based design, which is a very profitable term in North America. They all draw the similar design theories towards a person's identity or person's value of oneself. I think that's the highest hierarchy of each of any person's needs. So that's why I think salutogenic design gives us a new dimension to expand from physical wellness of anyone with any conditions to the top level of one's aspiration as a person, to his value, to value yourself, whether you're born with a full body, whether you're born as a president, or you're born with legs and arms. There's lots of guys, famous Australian guys go around the world and talk about his stories. You maintain your self-value, and that's the most important, if you ask me. I don't know whether you agree, Judy. That is the most important of being. Yes. Of us as a being. I mean, I don't care whether how many degrees you get, how much you earn. I really don't want to talk about that. But your value of yourself as a being, that's what salutogenic design brought about. That promotes.
I actually think that's brilliant. Self-value, I think, is really it's a brilliant phrase And we're not going to really get into it right now, but ultimately, I think what we're saying with today, we're just discussing housing, is housing that enables you to function both within and outside of your housing unit can enable you to feel more or less valued.
Yeah.
Less valued if you become more restricted than you need to be, or not be able to get the assistance that you need. And obviously not being able to come and go at your will is something else that also makes you feel less valued. And I think, conceptually, Calvin, as we were beginning our discussion earlier, where you were a non-disabled person who became a disabled person, the ability to maintain or expand how one values oneself when different conditions have changed. It's a brilliant comment.
It is. Thank you, Judy. But I just want to add something very quickly, Joe. It does relate directly to housing. Why? Because let me quote a very simple conversation I had in one of the conferences, and people asked me, what is housing to me? And my answer is 3 words. Is when you can say, I am home, or you feel home, that's what housing means for everyone. Because at that time, people were talking about, housing, does it mean a big flat? It's have to be safe, secure, comfort, and all that. I said, just put away all that. As long as you go home and you say to yourself, I'm home, I feel home. And that's the best feeling on earth of every measurement of housing.
I'm just going to jump in at this point, Judy, because I want to ask you a question about something that you talked about in your book, where you were about to start an amazing job, and I'll let you tell us more about it. But one of your main concerns, more than the job, was how do I actually find accommodation that will be adapted to my needs? And that was your biggest concern. And the job was amazing. Throughout your book and throughout your life, it really has been a theme that it goes hand in hand with every change, every path that you've taken. It's finding the ability to be independent within your housing structure and the people and the community that you've built up around you to be able to then be fully immersed and fully included.
Yeah, and I need the audience to understand that we need to discuss what the word independent means.
Yeah.
Because I use personal assistance a lot. So I can't get out of bed myself. I can't bathe myself. I can't get dressed myself. I can't go to the bathroom myself. I need help cooking, getting my coat on and off, all those things. So having appropriate personal assistance support is very important for me to be able to live my life as I wish to live it. But I want people really to understand that for me, without appropriate personal assistance, where I'm able to hire and train my own workers to do things as I need it, is not what I want and not what I've pretty much had to deal with my whole life, that I've been able to create things that I can use. And when I came to DC, I looked at least 100 apartments, not 100 buildings, but in however many number of buildings, 20, 30 buildings. I needed a 3-bedroom apartment. My husband and me, 1 room, and 2 rooms for people who would assist me. And I needed it to be, I don't drive, so I needed it to be close enough to transportation that I would be able to get myself to and from work as independently as possible. At that point, there were no accessible taxis here in DC. The buses were and the train was. So I looked and looked for months. I had someone help me identify places to go to. And in the end, I finally found an apartment that was 3 bedrooms, and the person was going to be leaving for a year. What I think is very important about this series is really being able to address this discussion simply. I want people to recognize You don't have to be an architect. You don't have to be a policymaker. You don't even have to define yourself as an advocate for others. You can be completely selfish. And by that, I mean, you're selfish for yourself, for your family and loved ones, that you want to be able to live, as Calvin said, in something that feels like home to you. And I think that's very important, as Calvin also was saying, regarding one's value of oneself. And so really, what we're talking broadly about now is what more information do we need as disabled people or non-disabled people to make those individuals who have responsibility for development and implementation of laws and policies. I know we'll get into discussing some of that. Good laws are very important, but failure to implement is equally important. And we need to believe that having a home is something that we all have a right to, and that we are able to create it in a way that will allow us to really feel valued and able to contribute. I think that's really what homes are about.
You touched on a number of really important points, and in preparation for this discussion, we wanted to also talk to some wheelchair users in Hong Kong and to kind of get a sense of what the reality is like for them. And we spoke to a Hong Kong-based organization called the Direction Association for the Handicapped, and they were telling us about public transportation and the lack of accessibility. They were talking about buildings that have very, very few parking spaces that are accessible, that sometimes accessible accesses to buildings are hidden. And there was a design manual, correct me if I'm wrong, Calvin, but 10 years ago, the design manual was released, and it seems that maybe we need an update on that. I don't know where we're at with that and universal design right now, but I do know that, similar to what you were sharing, Judy, it's not uncommon for wheelchair users to have to go and visit around 100 flats before they can actually find one that they can live in. Calvin, can you just share about, from your perspective of the design manual, where are we at, and where are we at with universal design?
Sure. In terms of vision, Hong Kong does have a vision to move on from barrier-free design to universal design, as I said. The first regulation that applied to access to premises was introduced in 1996. That is the design manual first version, which was very substantially upgraded in year 2008. So everyone is using the golden standard now in Hong Kong. Whether you're architects or you're property owners, you adhere to that standard. We call it BFA 2008 or 2008. And that hasn't been substantially revised since, now 2022 for 14 years. However, they do develop some small improvement, and their regular meetings are ongoing, non-stop, all the time to upgrade that. But the biggest problem is for policymaker, that's something that maybe Judy can comment on later. Policymaker is looking after society as a whole, okay? Each user has different needs. So to balance that, that's a very tricky and sensitive issue. So therefore, barrier-free design manual 2008 hasn't been totally redrafted, but however, they do have what we call best practice built into the manual to encourage people to use that. But at the same time, in a very commercialized and extremely compact city like Hong Kong or like New York in over your side, Judy, each tiny little piece of building areas at a premium. So developers, by default, they would go to the very bare minimum standard, which from our research indicated that it would not accommodate more than 45% of the people in practical terms. For example, most people in Hong Kong use electric wheelchairs. The electric wheelchairs will not simply can maneuver in those big space that was designed for manual wheelchair. So they just cannot move. That's obvious. So you can see the discrepancy of the basic barrier-free regulations only cater for less than half. This make it easier. Okay, while best practice all over the world, we're aiming at what we call 80% percentile. In UK, they did a very comprehensive assessment of how much an accessible house cost in addition to just a normal house. And surprisingly, that document, fully available in public through internet and all that, only cost you £1,000 UK to make a flat, make a 2-bedroom flat, to be adaptable, not fully wheelchair accessible, to be adaptable. Adaptable means that you can convert it with very minor alteration. So we're talking about £1,000. I mean, often in Hong Kong, I would say people quote that Hong Kong is one of the wealthiest cities in the world, but we can't afford £1,000. That's really crazy. But the reality is that, unfortunately, people stick to the minimum standard, which is the BFA 208, instead of going a step forward. However, many parties are willing to do better. So that's the good sign. But how do we promote that further? That's a big task. For example, the Architectural Services Department, they developed their own enhanced standard, which is very commendable. Hong Kong Housing Society developed a guideline, which is published like more than 12 years ago, called Universal Design for Residential Development, which is a very, very good, very, very well-written document. But nobody uses it. That's the problem.
That's the problem, right? It's how do you get to implementation? Judy, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that, like what Calvin said, we know not just in the area of housing, but if you design something to be whatever word you want to use, universally accessible, the cost is minimal. It's dust. And that one of the issues is demand. And I think why it's so very important that we are looking at how do we get the general populace to argue that it's something they need. Mm-hmm. And yes, disabled people will be the impetus for this happening because we are so clearly adversely affected or positively affected on whether or not the housing is accessible. So we have to make this a broader discussion, and one which is not just seen as for those people over there who they don't really know and don't really care about. And I think what you were saying, Joe, of going around and talking to people who have disabilities is very important. However, I would also add that you want to be talking to people who are not necessarily involved in any organizations, but are benefiting. So in Hong Kong, Calvin, for those buildings where universal design is something that has been built in, it would be very interesting, I think, to speak to people who are living in those units who do and don't have disabilities, to talk with them about, what do they think about their home? What is different about the home that they're living in now than where they lived before? Is it benefiting people who one never thought of looking at benefit because they don't have a disability? They may well have a disability. They want to age in place, so their vision may be changing, or they may have a broken leg or a broken arm or anything that may be temporary, or they have a child, or, whatever the situation may be. I think we need to broaden the discussion so that we really normalize, we call it universal design, but I think we want to normalize that people, as Calvin said, are able to maintain self-worth, self-value. I think people, and it gets back to what you had asked earlier, Joe, I think it's very important for people to know their story, to be able to tell their story. And the question of what do you want your home to look like, to be, is very important, because once people in general, not just disabled people, can say when I'm 40, when I'm 70, this is the way I want to be able to live. And you can say to them, do you want to be living in a segregated environment? Do you want to be living in a nursing home? Or do you want to be able to live where you are, getting the supports that you need? I think these discussions are essential to get people to feel like they're an expert. Because I think one of the problems is people feel like, I don't know as much as you, I can't speak about it. But you know yourself. And I also think discussions like this are very important to enable people to learn, because I think that's really important. People need to learn that they can be their best advocate.
It's such an important message that you're sharing there, Judy. And another one that you both shared when we were preparing this conversation was around the stigma and kind of an ingrained stigma with universal design. And we touched on as well invisible disabilities and why universal design is so relevant to so many people. And we actually looked at the data that was coming out of the 2020 census, which said that only 7% of the population actually lives with a disability. And they either live in institutions with residential facilities or they live in domestic households. But that the government within that census report also acknowledged that there was a strong indication of under-reporting, especially with the number of people who have intellectual disabilities and who are in domestic households. So you're both suggesting as well that 7% simply can't be an accurate figure. Can you both kind of share why you said that and what implications does this underreporting have on us being able to have more accessible, inclusive housing in Hong Kong?
It's an interesting question. One, if you understand the concept of universal design, then the percentage of disabled people shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Because what you're saying is we are designing housing for anyone. And by that, we can also talk about people who have temporary disabilities for whatever may be going on. We take it away from the numbers game. I think having accurate numbers is very important, but it shouldn't be to substantiate things like universal design. I mean, I think accurate numbers help us do planning and support the disability community's claim that there is an unmet need that needs to be met. So I think that's important, very important.
So I want to talk about Crip Camp. And one thing that really struck me about this amazing documentary, which is a historical piece and which everyone should go and watch it. What really, really struck me was the way that you were able to be inclusive of every single voice around you. However diverse that voice was, you made sure that everybody's voice was heard. And not only within whatever room you were in, at whatever time you were in, but you made sure that all of those voices were heard at a policy making level. Do you have any advice for us for Hong Kong on how we can make sure that we are inclusive of all voices when we're talking about housing?
I think the film is obviously brilliantly done, and I'm forever indebted, to Jim Lebrecht and Nicole Newman and the Obamas and others. Remember that, yes, absolutely, everyone who was in the room was listened to. But you also need to see that at that particular time, not all affected people were in the room. So we didn't have that many people in the room who had intellectual disabilities, although we had some. We didn't have that many people who had mental health disabilities, although there were some. So one thing that's really expanded over the years is that the broader population of disabled people are also participating in these discussions. I think one of the reasons that we were and are so intent on involving all voices is because we represent such a large group of people that if we're able to be expanding our circle, then the stories of people with a breadth of disabilities, onset, economic impact, on and on, is something that normalizes disability more in a way that people can feel less threatened by and more in charge of. I think that's very important. And, you know, Calvin's story, I was 18 months old, but Calvin's story as someone who was older, I think those are very important stories that the average person needs to hear and learn about. This is what he thought about disability prior to acquiring it. This is why he decided he was going to move into the work that he's doing. It was for you as much as for others. And I just think we need to be normalizing this, and we need to be empowering all people with disabilities to recognize that discrimination against one is discrimination against all, and that we need to be working together in order to address areas of discrimination that everyone may not use the word discrimination. But for me, I call it discrimination because the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and all the countries that have ratified it have bought into the fact that they have an obligation to implement the articles of that document, and that you cannot be implementing the articles of that document if people are consciously being segregated, underserved, unemployed, undereducated, unable to have access to appropriate housing, on and on. It is a transformational concept. And I think one of the values of the disability community being able to continue to work to get it right is because we can be a tremendous example beyond the disability community. But I think we consciously need, and why I was interested in participating in this, because Habitat is not an organization that started out around disability. Disability became a part of the work that you were doing because of the population you wanted to serve. That story in and of itself, I think, is a very important story. And whether or not the number is 7% or more likely 20 to 25%, more likely to mirror figures in Japan and Australia and New Zealand, United States and Canada, 7% is just, but who knows the definition they use. But really, at the end of the day, making disabled people not feel embarrassed about having a disability, but it's a strength, making people around us feel that they don't have to be ashamed of who we are, and that they too are part of the problem solution. We're problem solvers.
Yeah, amazing. I would love to just pass to you, Calvin, related to bringing all voices together. You are the founding chair of the Association for Universal Accessibility in Hong Kong. Can you tell us briefly about what that group does?
Yes, that's a very interesting, what we call the cross-discipline group, trying to do the same thing to provide a better built environment for all. We do take on the concept or the vision of universal design or universal accessibility through different disciplines work together. We have designers like architects, interior designers. We have medical professionals like myself, and we also have occupational therapists. which play a very important role in this whole thing, whether it's in terms of medical service or in terms of policy establishment. OT, we call the short for occupational therapist, OT in Hong Kong. They are very important. And we include that into our group. And we also have other academic researcher in the group. Yeah.
Wrap up, I think we may have, let me just check. I think we may have lost Calvin. Do you have any final advice that you'd like to pass on to the Hong Kong community dialing in today?
Housing is an integral part of all communities, and it can't just be something which is being handled by developers excluding users. I think it's very important that, as Calvin has been discussing, that we're looking at the concept of home or office. Right now we're talking about housing, but edifices, buildings, homes, office space. We want it to be a collaborative approach. We want people to want to live and be happy in the homes that they're going to be living in. We need to learn about, what aspects of housing make people feel valued or not valued. But the bottom line is, I very much believe that it needs to be a combination of government with good laws, with community, not just disabled people, but other people thinking about themselves today and tomorrow. And I think also being able to provide information that may or may not be coming from Hong Kong itself, but may also be coming from other countries, as Calvin's been discussing, to allow people to see the ultimate value. I, as a 74-year-old person, remember in the United States when we had no ramps on the corners of streets, where buses were not accessible, where trains were not accessible, where there were no bathrooms in movie theaters or restaurants, where there were steps and no ramps. Now, here and in many other countries, those are provisions that have been integrated. Why have they been integrated? They've been integrated partly because of the law, but partly now because the average person sees the value of an elevator, sees the value of a ramp, sees the value of many other components in housing or other areas where people, whether or not they define themselves as having a disability, are benefiting, and they are expecting it to be there. They need to see that universal changes are ones that benefit all, and be really demanding, when contracts are being developed with whomever, that the issue of universal design and standards that meet the needs of many are built in, or they don't get the contract.
Judy, you're talking about being demanding, and I just have to say what a privilege it is to be talking to you today. And what we're trying to do in Hong Kong is really look at how we can include voices to change the system, and how, Judy, you have been at the front line of really changing the system. So we really want to thank you for joining our fireside chat today. You've really given us a lot of food for thought.
Thank you very much for asking me. But I also want to say that I've never been to Hong Kong, but I've been to Japan many times. I've been to China a number of times, and Australia and other countries in the Asia region. And I get immense strength from working with disabled people in these other countries, Vietnam, etc., because we bring various things together. But at the end of the day, when discussing housing, we all value housing the same way. It's a place that we can hopefully not only call it home, but have it be a place that you want to be in, you want to go back to, because it nourishes you. It enables you to contribute. And so I think this series that you're doing, I get very emotional, but I think this is such an important discussion.
Judy, I can't wait for us to be able to welcome you with open arms physically in Hong Kong. Can't wait for that moment. I know it will come, and we're really excited to see you in person. But in the meantime, thank you so much for joining this talk today. It really, really is an important step in our process to be able to start to change the system here and make more housing accessible to more people. Don't go away. We're going to move into our live Q&A with Calvin. But in the meantime, Judy, thank you.
Thank you both.
Good to see you, Judy.
What a conversation. There are a few conversations, just a few conversations I've had in my life that have really changed me and the way I think, and that is definitely one of them. Calvin, great to have you for a few more minutes. And if anyone does have a question, please just raise your hand. We're with friends, so just put your hand up and then we will come to you. But I'd love to just kick us off and pick up with something that Judy said about how do we get the general population to agree that universal design is something that they need. What would you say to that, Calvin?
I think there has been lots of advocacy in terms of programs delivered by the NGO, we call NGO here, the non-government associations, organizations, such as a few friends that's online, directions of people with handicap, and also see some friends from Jiashen, we call it Jiashen, it's online too, Irene's online, I don't know whether she's listening. A lot of the concerned organization has delivered the message to educate people in general, and the government also play a big role, and they did a very good job in doing that. I think, as Judy just said, it is probably come to a time of collaborations. All of us, whether we come from the research side, whether we come from NGOs, charity side, social welfare, or we come from the policy-making side, whether they are the politicians or bureaucrats. I think it's time for us to work together to try to make system changes. I often speak to my mentor, Dr. Joseph Kwan, who is the real expert in this area. I mean, I'm only his apprentice, to be honest. I said to him, he's been working on this area for 20, 30 years worldwide, particularly in Asia Pacific. What have we changed in Hong Kong? I mean, this is a pretty sad question, but I don't expect a sad answer to that. I expect a very progressive answer by everyone who's listening, or everyone that's joining us today, is to collaborate and make changes with the policymakers. Judy already rightfully pointed out that we can't just do it by ourselves. It's no good anymore. Like in Australia, people chain themselves up across the street on buses and things like that. It doesn't have to happen that way. What should happen is we work collaboratively with everyone, including policymakers, bureaucrats, politicians, to make that happen. That's my vision. And how can we do that? And really not up to just one or two parties, up to how maybe Habitat for Humanity can play a role to put us together. And I do see the vision of that's how we go ahead, because internally government has already made a lot of progressive changes. As I mentioned earlier, the Architectural Services Department, Hong Kong Housing Society. So why can't we all, including West Kowloon Cultural District Authority, who I worked for a while ago. So if we put all these efforts together, we all make a pledge to build better environment, build better housing. Why can't we do now to start some system changes? So that's my short answer to the question, Joe.
Thank you, Calvin. See you. Great to see people coming onto video. If you've got questions, stick your hand up digitally or literally, but we'll come to you. We only have a few minutes left. I would love to ask you, Calvin, this question, and it's maybe a tricky question for a couple of minutes, but flats in public housing estates. So if how accessible are they? And if cost isn't then the main barrier to making them more accessible, then what is?
A short answer to your question, Joe. We're not in lack of money. We're not in lack of knowledge. Okay, what we in lack of something in the system that enable that to happen. I have to say, sadly, at the moment, people that needs to make their home adaptable, or people after certain incidents or episodes of not fortunate event in their life, they went home. They find out they cannot go to the bathroom. They cannot even enter the door because the crazy, very tall threshold we have in public housing, simply to avoid, what we call cleaning the water cleaning the corridor from entering the houses. One of the only mitigation that the housing department can offer is to change the house to a newer type instead of modifying the house. Okay, so which means the person that really needs that after a stroke, for example, after a stroke, they have to move the house to another newer housing estate so that they can carry it on a barrier-free life. That's very undesirable. And as Judy already pointed out, people like to age in place, and that's no difference to people who have certain kind of condition developed through their lives. So the biggest hurdle is if a system can be in place, saying that the most of the new housings are built to a certain standard, like the one that I mentioned earlier in UK, that at least they can be visitable to a certain extent that they are adaptable without spending a lot of money in the beginning to make it fully wheelchair accessible. I think there's a good strategy that we can learn from, and that strategy can somehow go into the system. And the housing in Hong Kong can start that system change, then we will have a better future. Because at the moment, a very rough estimate, about 10 years ago, 70% of the residential buildings in Hong Kong were built before 1997. But why that 1997 was so important? Because that's the first code of the barrier-free 1996 came out. So most of the building built before that, 70% of the building built before that were not adaptable, nor it was visitable. So that's very sad. So how can we change that? We have to change right now, a system change, as I said repeatedly, say many times. I see that's the only way that we can go forward. I would like to see how the other participants in this forum can offer some other advice too. Yeah.
Well, we will definitely follow up with the people that have joined us today and others. We will make this available on our YouTube channel. Irene, I know we've sort of run out of time, but Irene has asked the questions about the biggest hurdle to normalize. Are there any innovative ways to overcome this together in 1 minute? Okay. Can you attempt that, Calvin?
In 1 minute or in just a few words is to get the commercial corporations to play a part. Okay. Not that I'm always, you will say that I'm speaking on behalf of the government. No. I worked for them before, obviously, involved in a number of organizations, but they have done a good job, including we went to the Legislative Council in around 2010 with W.K. Lam, Lam Wen Gong, Sinsa. Went to Legislative Council to sell universal design. Okay. But that wasn't enough. We also very conscious about private development in Hong Kong. Okay, which everyone knows Hong Kong is a very commercialized city. We have to get them into play with Get Lingwitz and all the other people, Swire and all the big names that you can tell. And they're starting to participate, but we want more progressive participation from all these parties to make it work, because private properties are by large the most influential key players in the whole thing. We always go to our malls to shop, to entertain and all that. So I think in one short answer is to get this universal design message to go to the commercial or the private developers world, and then we start doing something. Then together with the government's effort, we can start to make some real changes that benefit everyone, not just the people with disabilities.
Bring in voices at the design stage, right? Not after.
Oh yeah, certainly. That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah. Thank you, Jill.
I'm really, really frustrated, but that's unfortunately all we've got time for today. Thank you to Judy for her time and insights the other day. Thank you to Calvin so much for joining us then and today. Thank you to our friends from Direction Association for the Handicap. Thanks, Rabi and your team for your input into the conversation, and for you all for joining us and your your questions, and we will follow up if you've asked a question and you didn't get time to get an answer today. Now, if you've enjoyed this event, then please join us on social media. You can use the hashtags Habitat Housing Series and Habitat HK, or tag us at Habitat HK. Please sign up to the newsletter, stay in touch, and don't forget to come to the next event in the housing series later in the year, when we will be asking the question, why is affordable housing key to achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals? But until then, thank you, and stay dry if you are in Hong Kong, and look forward to seeing you all very, very soon.